Hey there everyone, Lickety Split here. Today we're working on a kit from both Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k. The Plaguebearers of Nurgle. I'm going to be concentrating most of my demonstrations on the unit champion here, but when things are different, like when I go and do the pipes for the musician or something to do with the standard bearer or the standard, I'll bring those in and demonstrate them. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get started on these. And the first color that we're going to be doing is Plaguebearer Flesh. And that's going to go all over the skins, the horns. It's going to cover the whole figure, and it's going to go over all of them. Try to avoid the big soils or the guts, that sort of thing, because we'll be doing those in different colors later. And I'm going to go ahead and continue with this throughout the unit, and I'll be back. All right, now with all that Plaguebearer flesh applied, we're going to move on to our next color. And the next color for this is going to be some Deepkin Flesh. And we're going to be dry brushing on there, just catch the highlights, give you some nice depth. Not too much. Don't press too hard. Just to bring out all the detail. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this the rest of the unit and be right back. Now that that's done, we're going to move on to our next step. And our next step is going to be to paint in the blades and the teeth and the claws. And the color we're going to use for that is some black Templar. Now what we're going to do is get in a little black Templar. Let's spread it out. And you may ask yourself, Lickety, why are we using black Templar instead of Black Legion? Well, answer simple. Black Legion is a very good one pigment, single pigment contrast paint. Meaning it will give you a nice black everywhere. Whereas Black Templar will give you black in the recesses and more of a gray in the highlights, in the ridges. So it'll settle out two different ways. And that's why we're using it here. Versus boots or belts where you might use the Black Legion. All right, I'm going to finish this up for the unit and be right back. All right then, now that we're done with that step, we're going to move on to the next one. And the next color we're going to be using is Magos Purple. And the Magos Purple, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to the little boils. And we're going to be painting some of those, about half of them. Okay. So go through and pick out about half of the boils on each of these guys. And try to do it that way. And I would try to not make the boils next to each other, so you can have some separation, because we're going to do the rest of the boils in a different color. All right, I'll be right back once I'm done. Okay, now with that done, we're going to move on to the next step. The next step is going to be like a preparatory step for the following one. What we're going to do is we're going to take some Wraithbone and we're going to color over the rest of the boils, the ones we didn't do with the Magos Purple. The reason for this is we're going to be coming back with another color that's fairly close to the Plaguebearer Flesh, and this will just help it stand out more. Sometimes you need to go back and touch stuff up with the base color, whether in this case it's Wraithbone or White Scar or Gray Sear, which is primarily ones you're going to do contrast paints with. This will just help make the next step better. All right, I'll finish this up. One quick thing I forgot to mention I was going to do is some of these wounds, not all of them, but some of them I'm going to go ahead and touch up with a little Wraithbone to make it pop a little bit for some more effect later on. All right, that's it. See you in a bit. We're moving on to the next color. The next color is going to be Nazdreg Yellow, and we are going to apply this to all the boils that we just put some Wraithbone on. The reason for this is it'll help and make it pop a little more. If you put Nazdreg Yellow straight on it, it doesn't stand out quite as much as you put it over some Wraithbone. All right, I'm gonna finish this up. I'll say real quick about this is that I am doing even the boils that don't have the Wraithbone on there. They won't pop out quite as much, but they still will be able to tell a difference. On the next color, and the next color is going to be some Volupus Pink. And we're going to be painting this into the boils. Right? Little areas like this, and any sinewy areas where like you have exposed muscle, that sort of thing. Not into the guts. We're going to be doing the guts a little bit different. So, like this area here, exposed ribs and muscle, we'll do that. All right, I'm going to finish this up. One thing I want to point out is you don't just want to get inside the area, you want to get up and around, like to the lips of where the skin is shown as being torn. It kind of adds to the effect of the wound a little bit. So not just in it, but like up and around the edges as well. Okay, I'm going to finish this up. One thing I like to point out that I did, that I didn't really show, is that I went through and hit the eyes with a little Wraithbone. And then I went through and hit the eyes with a little Nazdreg Yellow. I did that so the Wraithbone will make it show up a little bit more, make it pop a little more. I kind of messed up in not showing it, but hopefully me saying it will help that out. Now we're going to move on to our next color, and our next color is going to be some Volupus Pink, and we're going to use this to paint in the guts. And don't forget to get the edges of the torn flesh too, where the grandfather's corruption has burst their bellies. Alright, I'll finish it up and finish up the unit and be back. Okay, on to the next step. Next step we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting his pipes. And the color we're going to use for this is some Snakebite Leather. Or sorry, Skeleton Horde, not Snakebite Leather. Just take your time, spread it over there. Make sure you get it into these little air holes so they get defined later. Alright, I'm going to finish this up and be right back. On to the next step. The next step we're going to be using some Snakebite Leather. And we're going to be applying this to the majority of the horns. And we'll go ahead and do it one side. We'll wash the brush, touch off the water, and then kind of blend it in a little bit down here at the bottom. And then we'll go to the other side. Snakebite Leather on the whole thing. Wash the brush. Touch off the water. And you kind of blend it in. A little bit up. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other side of this one and the rest of the unit. Okay, we'll move on to our next color. Next color is going to be some Volupus Pink. And we're going to use this on the gums. This guy. And into the mouth for his tongue. Okay, I'm going to finish this up and do the rest. We're going to move on to our next color. Our next color is going to be some Mantis Warrior Green. And we're going to use that Mantis Warrior Green for this little Nurgling that's trying to crawl its way out of this Plaguebearer's stomach. Kind of gross and cool all at the same time. Alright, I'll be back. Top tip on their skin. If you kind of go a little overzealous with the dry brush of Deepkin Flesh and make it too bright in areas, you can always just kind of quickly go over those areas with a little bit of Plaguebearer Flesh and kind of tone it down. Okay, on to our next color. Next color is going to be some Black Templar, and we're going to finish up the horns. We're going to go about a quarter way down. Put the Black Templar on, and we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then kind of blend it in. Okay. We'll go ahead and put some more on there. About a quarter way down, we'll go on there. Wash the brush, touch off the water, and kind of blend it in. And we'll go ahead and go to each tip on each guy and do that. Alright, next color we're going to use is going to be some Snakebite Leather. We're going to go ahead and paint these little, let's see, yeah, you can see it, these little straps. On his pipe, kind of holding it together. Alright, I'll finish this up. We're going to work on his banner pole now. And the color we're going to be using is going to be a mixture. It's a 1-to-1 mixture. 1 part Garghax Sewer to 1 part Creed Camo. Kind of gives you that greenish, moldy wood kind of look. I think so, and I kind of like it. I use this on all, I've used this on all the wood for all my Nurgle so far. And I'll probably use it on terrain too when I do something that's all moldy and nasty mold or something. Alright, I'm going to finish this up, be right back. On to the next color. Next color is going to be some Iron Warriors. And we are going to go ahead and paint the standard with this. And then we'll go ahead and take care of some other colors on it later. Make it a little more rusty and stuff, but this is a good base to start with. So just thin it down a little bit and spread it out. And I'll go ahead and finish this up, and we're going to move on to the next color. Next color is going to be some Gilliman Flesh. And we're going to use that on one of these heads over here. Oop, not a little much. Just add a little variety. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next color and be right back. Next color is going to be some Gryph-Charger Grey. I'm going to use that on another one of the heads. Just going to get it in there. Let it settle in the recesses. Take your time.
use the tip, spread it around. Okay, move on to our next color. Next color is going to be Dreadful Visage, and we're going to be using this for our third head here. So we have a nice variety, and Mr. Plaguebearer Champion doesn't pick on one type of people. He's an equal opportunity decapitator. Okay, I will be back with the next step. On the next step, we're going to start doing the hair for the severed heads. And for the one we painted Gryph-Charger Grey, which is the one in the middle, we're going to use Black Templar for the hair. Just take your time, be nice and neat. Save your time on the next step. Otherwise, you're going to have to clean it up. Okay, I'll finish this up, be back. All right, the next hair we're going to be doing is the one we painted in Dreadful Visage, and we're going to use Cygor Brown for that one. You can, of course, mix these up or just pick other colors for the hair, you know. Have some fun. There's no right or wrong answer to this. It's your figure, your army, you do it. All right, on to our next color. Our next color is going to be some Gore-Grunta Fur, and we are going to use that for the hair, for the head that we painted in Deepkin Flesh. So we have some nice differentiation between our three little victims here. Oops, jeez. Sorry about that. Three little victims of Mr. Plaguebearer Champion. Alright, I'll go ahead and finish these up and be right back. On to our next color, and we're going to work on the standard a bit. And the next color is we're going to use some Fyreslayer Flesh. And we're going to put this all over our metallics, the Iron Warriors that we did. Give some shading. Alright, I'll finish this up and be back. It's still wet on the standard. I'm going to take a 1-to-1 mix of Garghax Sewer and Creek Camel and kind of smush it in there a little bit. Add a little rusty disgustingness to it. Okay, I will be back. We're on to our next color. And the next color is going to be some Nurgling Flesh shade, and we're going to paint this little shrunken head right here. Nurgling Flesh shade will can give you a fairly pale look. So just kind of work it in there and spread it out. And you'll be all right. Okay, I'll be back. The next color we're going to move to is some Skeleton Horde, and we're going to be using this for the hair. On the head, hanging off the standard. And this will give you kind of a dirty blonde type of color. There you go. Alright, I'm going to finish this up and be right back. Okay, on to the next color. Next color is going to be some Pallid Witch Flesh, and we're going to use this on the boils, both colors. Just a little dot at the top of each little boil. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this for unit and be back. Okay, we're going to move on to our next step. Our next step is going to be to some Deepkin Flesh, and we're going to use this to highlight the Black Templar that we used on the blades. Gonna catch the edges real nice like that one. It's also got a little bit of a green tint to it. Okay, I'm gonna finish up the rest of the unit and be back. Okay, on the next step. The next step is we're gonna be applying some Screaming Skull. And we're gonna be picking out the teeth. You don't want to cover the whole tooth. You kind of want the tip, and you want to leave a little bit of the base that you already painted in Black Templar. Leave it alone. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this up for the rest of the unit. And we'll be back. Next step. The next step is going to be some blood for the blood god. And we're going to kind of like paint that, not everywhere, but just in these wounds, in the middle of the guts, just to add a little bit more fun stuff to it. Alright, I'm going to finish this up and I'm going to go to the rest of the figures in the unit and we'll be back. Our next color, and our next color is going to be some Iron Hand Steel. I'm going to use this kind of edge and dry brush the standard. Not too much. I want the edge kind of looking like it's worn. Still kind of nerdly. Alright, I'll go ahead and finish up and be back. Okay, next step is going to be, we're going to apply some Ironrach Skin. We're going to kind of like, we're going to use this to highlight the wood. Just nice and light, kind of try to catch the edges. Alright, and then we'll be back. Now we're going to get to what I like to call the secret sauce. What we're going to do is we're going to hit everything with a light dry brush of Screaming Skull. The reason why you can do this is because Screaming Skull is a good neutral highlight that you can use on just about any color whatsoever, even metallics. You dry brush it on there and you just get nice and light, don't do too much. It gives you a nice little effect very quickly. The thing I want to come back to is that I decided I wanted to do a little bit more detail on this little Nurgle that's coming out. So the first color I'm going to use is going to be some Black Templar. I'm going to go in and paint in the teeth and the mouth, because I'm going to go in later and pick it out with some Screaming Skull. And then the other step I'm going to do in here is I'm going to take some Nazdreg Yellow. This is real quick. And I'm going to hit the eyes with it. And then we'll go ahead and hit the teeth real quick. And I got a little more detail, make that Nurgling pop a little bit. Alright, that's it. One color I forgot to do on the Plaguebearers is a little blood for the blood god and the stumps. Where the little heads is, and they got a little
Alright, that's that. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. I try to focus on techniques that give you the most bang for the buck. It may not win you a golden demon, but it'll look good, and we'll get it done for you, lickety split. I'll see you in the next one.